All right. Good evening, everyone. The time is 6:01 p.m., and I hereby call this meeting of the Student Senate to order. We'll begin with a roll call. When I call your name, please say here or present. Moran. Rolls. Everhart. Samantha Jones. Pelzer. Utica. Palin. Moisango. Nievenhoven. Weaver. Kamayer. Pedasani. Agarwal. Verriger. Gopa. Momini. Patel. Rollinger. Sidney Jones. Sloop. Pursley. And Hunter Schneider. All right, and so with that, we'll move into the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Speaker Pursley. All right, and so seeing no Senate program for this evening, we'll move right into open forum. Open forum shall serve as an opportunity for students to speak about issues relevant to the student body. If you're here tonight for open forum, I would ask that you approach the podium at this time, and I would ask that senators either close or mostly close their laptops. Thank you. Okay, and so is there anyone else here tonight for open forum? Seeing no one, we'll move into adopting this evening's agenda. Is there a motion to do so? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Are there any objections to adopting this agenda? Seeing none, it shall be adopted. We'll move into adopting the minutes of the previous Senate meeting. Is there a motion to do so? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Are there any objections to approving the previous minutes? Seeing none, they shall be approved. And with that, we'll move into committee reports, starting with the Rules Committee and Speaker Momini. I'm sorry.
We could look at the bylaw bill that we're going to see later today. That went well. You'll see our recommendations. It was sent favorably with the amendments that we made in rules. And I'll touch more on that when we get there. Other than that, we have confirmed that our meeting times are Thursdays at 5:30. Location is to be announced. But if you would like to attend or join, please contact me. Your presence would be appreciated. That's all.
Floor is open for any questions for the Rules Committee. Seeing none, we'll move on to the Finance Committee.
Committee, pretty excited about that. We also have 3 finance bills on the agenda today, so keep an eye out for those. Otherwise, that's all I got.
Floor is open for questions. Seeing none, we'll move on to the PR Committee.
How's it going, everyone? So yesterday during PR, we met with the co-director of events and finalized a lot of the details for the Student Government Expo. So we're going to routinely have these meetings for like our major student government kind of events. So for the Big 12 conference, we're also going to be meeting, working with the co-director of events and getting a lot of the materials created. And then also, if your committee needs something for the Student Government Expo, please let me know, and then the PR committee can design something for you guys. And then also, next week we have the Club Fest, so that is from 11 to 4 next Wednesday. So please go sign up in the MIS. Right now, I think we all have like 4 or 5 people signed up. We need a couple more people to sign up just so we can fill up those time slots. And then also, lastly, we got a senator and an at-large speaking today about joining the PR committee. Both are fantastic and will be a great fit. And then lastly, if you want to join PR, just please message me. Thank you.
Are there any questions for PR? Seeing none, we'll move into the Idea Committee.
Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. I kind of just wanted to remind you that we're still accepting applications for the IDEA committee. This is a fantastic opportunity to make a real impact on the campus by promoting inclusivity, diversity, equity, and accessibility. Your voices are crucial in driving change, and I'd love to see more of you involved and work with you all. If you have any questions, please email me or text me on Teams, and I think the Google Forms link is still available. And thank you.
Floor is open for questions for the Idea Committee. Seeing none, we'll move on to events.
All right. Hi, everybody. For the events committee for the conference, we're hoping to pass the budget tonight so we can send out registration and get our website up for other schools to register for the conference. We're working on some breakout room ideas. So if you are interested in leading the discussion in a breakout room for the conference, please let me know and we'll get you to be a discussion group leader. And then for the expo, there's 1 or 2 more committees that I need to hear from for the booths. So I'll be sending you an email tomorrow if I don't hear from you by the end of the day. I actually don't know if this is on. All right. And if you are available for the Student Government Expo, please sign up in the MIS. There's a different tab for it so that we know that you're going to be there. We need at least 1 person in each committee booth at all times. And it's from 11 to 2 on September 19th. And that's all.
Floor is open for any questions. So seeing none, unfortunately, ex officio Bolin could not be here this evening, and so we'll move on to sustainability.
Okay, so we had our first meeting today, so that was fun. We're actively recruiting, so especially senators, if you want to sign up, let me or Kit know, and we can go through that process. And aside from that, there's no other updates, really.
Awesome. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to health and wellness.
Hi guys, hope you're all having a good week. I just have a few things to discuss. The first is the Health and Wellness Committee is still accepting applications, so if you're interested, please reach out to me directly or fill out the application that was sent out. The second is the Health and Wellness Symposium is scheduled for February 7th, and it will be held here in the MU. We're kind of meeting every other week to discuss the plans for that. Still a ways out, but I plan to keep you guys updated, and I really encourage you to attend.
All right, the floor is open for questions. Seeing none, we'll move on to the legislative ambassadors.
Hey guys, so Colby can't be here today. He is in Washington, D.C., and he's very sorry, but he has a couple brief updates about legislative ambassadors. So first, he's very excited to welcome the Board of Regents to Iowa State in a few short weeks. He wants everyone to check their email and confirm their attendance no later than tomorrow. And additionally, legislative ambassadors is still looking for a couple more senators to join the committee, so if you're interested, please reach out to him, and that is all.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the other category. This is an opportunity to speak about any committees that aren't otherwise represented on tonight's agenda. Seeing none, we'll move on to comments from the executive branch with President Hirsch.
Hi guys, not a lot of comments for you tonight. Again, we have the retreat coming up. We've sent out a form. Please continue to sign up for that if you haven't already done so. And then we also need drivers. So if you're certified to drive from the university, we could always use more. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the comments from our advisor.
Hello. So I think I've met most of you at some point last spring. This is my first Senate meeting this fall. So I think Chad mentioned last week that Chad and Brad and I are all going to continue to support student government as advisors. So we're going to be rotating through the Senate meetings. I think we've got that schedule figured out. So you'll see at least one of us here on Wednesday nights, but we are all available for you if you need help with anything. I know at least for Brad and I in the MIS in Teams, there's a link where you can just book a meeting with us and it'll go right to our calendar for our availability. So if you need to chat about something, that's always great. My office is in 1560, which is just on the other side from where student government's office is, so across from Panda Express. So I'm nearby if you need things too. Speaking of the MIS in Teams, I put a message in Teams, but that is the way we keep track of like who needs to be on the email listserv and who has access to the office door and all of those things. So as you all are building your committees particularly, please make sure your committee members are listed in there, and then they need to go in and fill out the rest of the information, including at least their phone number, because I can't give anyone office door access without a phone number. There is a new key system for student organization offices this year that is more automated. We had a few hiccups, but I think it should be working well now. So you're able to just check out a key by swiping your ID up here by the information desk. Let's see what else. Oh, I sent out an email right before this meeting. Student Engagement is partnering with Student Wellness to sponsor one of the Cardinal and Gold substance-free tailgates this fall. And so we are looking for a few volunteers from each of our affiliated student organizations just to kind of be there, hang out, so that students see other students are there, because they don't want to hang out with a bunch of staff members, right? That's not cool. So if you're available and you could help out with even part of that, if you would sign up on that link, you'll get food, you'll get swag. I think it's a bucket hat. So just a little bit. And you can promote. The focus isn't on promoting student government, but of course you can wear your name tag, wear your polo, talk to folks about student government. So it could be good for outreach as well. And then lastly, I also advise the Election Commission. They've been working super hard on proposing some bylaw edits that are going to help make elections run a little bit smoother. So I hope you all will give that some consideration tonight. We have mostly returners, which I'm super excited about, because now we, me included, all know how this works. So now we can make it better this time around. And that is all.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to comments from the judicial branch. Or perhaps not. All right, and so if that will move into the business for this evening, starting with External Matter 2024-2-001F, launching the parking.
We've seen this last week on first read, so hopefully you guys have had the time to review it and ask any questions. If not, please do that now, but I'm going to let them tell you a little bit about it first.
Director of Affordability, Bob Carver.
I'm the former Director of Affordability, Mitch Hagan.
And today we're here to talk to you again about the parking bill. So there is a slight stump in the road we have just noticed. Over the summer, the parking department has decided to raise the rates on the parking tickets so that the minimum ticket amount is $50. Just from last week, our maximum amount on a parking ticket is $50. So that's why we suggest a friendly amendment to increase it to either $60 or $75 so we can help cover more tickets. As well as it isn't just for the illegal parking tickets. There's such things as mopeds and motorcycles that also are covered under this. So it's not just the cars. We're helping more and more people every day, and we want to just help everyone we can with financial insecurity, with food insecurity, and with more volunteers, and making sure our parking lots are in the best shape possible. And that's what this bill does. It combines all three of those aspects, with volunteering for the food pantry, making sure the parking tickets get paid because the parking department funds itself. And of course, making sure that our students don't have to come up with money for unexpected expenses. Overall, this bill is strategized to make sure our students are helping each other and creating a more vibrant community where we're all helping each other. We are open for questions.
All right, and so the floor is open, starting with Senator Kameyer.
Motion to amend 2024-2-001F to make the maximum $60 rather than $50.
Yep. I just wanted to find where that was in the bill for a moment. So there's been a motion, it's been moved and seconded to amend the third ordered clause, to set a maximum ticket value of, I'm sorry, what number did you say? Of $60 instead of 50 in light of the parking change. Are there any objections to this amendment? Do you wish to state the nature of your objection?
So the only reason I objected to that is because would this change the line item of the pilot payment into the parking ticket relief fund? That's a question for you guys. Would that change that line item if we changed it up to 60 instead of 50? Because right now it's at 50 and the quantity is 100, totaling 5,000. I don't know if that's...
Yes, it would change it. But we'd have to expect it to change because with the
Yeah.
minimum, with the maximum, or the minimum parking ticket being $50, we can only help 100 people with that specific ticket. So we're suggesting increasing that ticket amount because sometimes students may have had a parking ticket last semester and may be affecting how much their parking ticket is this semester.
Yeah.
We want to be able to help those students be able to cover that parking ticket as well.
Okay. I'm going to withdraw, but I am also going to suggest maybe changing your amendment to incorporate the line item change and maybe getting some further clarification of what exactly that should change to.
We can go ahead and run the numbers real quick on what that would be.
So if you wanted, I would recommend withdrawing your amendment and then just yielding them some of your time.
So I'll withdraw and then yield them.
Yeah, okay, so if we were gonna, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. If we're increasing it, we are gonna have to change the light item. We're not changing the total dollar amount, we still wanna keep it at $5,000, but we would have to change the light item to $60, and then that would obviously decrease the quantity of students. We're just budgeting out $60 per student. That's not saying, like if someone walks in with a $50 ticket, we're not just gonna like give them 10 extra bucks. This is just like the bare minimum. We're saying that everyone would have the ability to get their ticket paid in full. And then obviously we'd have some money left over because of math.
And so if that, you could end your speaking privilege or you could make a motion, whatever you choose to do. All right, Senator Gopa? Apologies, I have to go in order.
Yeah, so why the 60 again? I'm just a little confused.
So, over the summer, so last year when this bill was originally being created, the minimum amount for a parking ticket was $30. Over the summer, that changed and increased by $20. It used to be a maximum of $50, so we'd be able to cover people who are even repeat offenders. Although it's only one ticket, we'd still be able to help them out. The reason why the change is that if it's the minimum for a $50 ticket, then what if they do have that repeat offense? Like, let's say last year they got 3 parking tickets and now their overall amount will increase. We're still gonna be able to help those students out.
Aren't we just helping out first-time offenders?
We are gonna be helping out first-time offenders, but sometimes, I know for a fact that I was a victim of a parking ticket. There was no parking available in front of my dorm, so I went and parked out in the lot, brought my groceries up, went back, had a parking ticket. Sometimes things happen.
Cool. So are you sure that $5,000 is going to be enough? Like, this is just a pilot program,
This
right?
is just a pilot program. If this goes exceedingly well, I'm sure that we could go ahead and promote more funds through the Finance Committee, of course. But we could go, this is just a pilot program that is made to explode, to grow.
Are you in talks with the parking division to make this like an actual thing afterwards, like where students?
Yeah, so I can talk to that. So like I had a bunch of conversations with him last year, both with Chief Newton, who is the general, oh hey, what's up? Like the general like police chief, but then also the parking director Miller. I talked with him. They're all for it. They have no problem with it. Their thing was it's how the bill worked out. They wanted us to pay for it since they are self-funded. They didn't want to lose out on money. So as long as we're forking over the bill and paying for it, they have zero problem with it.
We still have to pay for this.
Yeah.
If it works.
Yeah.
And what would you say about the shop having
So from the talks that I have talked with Director Mindy, Director Huron. That's not a problem at all. They are literally always short-staffed. It's just going to be the way we have to budget out people. But from what they said, it's literally never been a problem that they have too many people. So.
Speaker Momini.
So, first, one question. I feel really loud. So they are no longer charging $50 for ticket. They're charging $60. Is that right?
No. Well, if I didn't explain this earlier enough, essentially last year when the bill was first being created, the minimum amount for a ticket was $30, and it was maxed out to be $50 for an illegal parking ticket. That has changed, so that an illegal parking ticket for first-time offenders is now $50. We're suggesting an increase on the amount for those who may have been here for, let's say, 3 years and they get one parking ticket a year. It's still going to increase because the total number of tickets. And financially insecure students don't go away after a year.
And what if you're a second-time offender? Do you get the same rate, or is it higher?
I believe for the first two amounts, they are the same price.
Okay, so you're trying to change the line item and the wording to be $60, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I did some quick math. Hopefully it's right. That means that your quantity wouldn't be 100 if you want to stay within the 5,000. Your quantity wouldn't be 100, it'd be 83, and it would bring the cost down $20. So the total on the first line item would be $4,980, and then your grand total would be $5,163.84. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
And that's what you'd like to do?
So not every ticket's going to be $60.
Right, I get that. So you could have leftover money to do somewhere else or help more people.
And some tickets are only $20. So that's why we'd rather have that full amount of the, we're just talking about illegal parking tickets. When you have a moped, it's only $20.
So what will you do with the leftover money? Because we can only put the quantity as 83.
To student government.
Okay, but so the quantity will be 83. It won't be 100 anymore. Because if I change that to 60 and I do 100, then it'll be 6,000.
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, sorry. So just for clarification, so we're just budgeted. Originally, the plan was we were budgeting for 100 people. So like maxed out $50 tickets. We don't expect everyone to be fourth-time offenders with 50 tickets. This was just so we could get like the budget, like test run 100 people at say $50. And that way the original bill was so that we have the budget in place so we're not like grasping for air when like, if it happens to get popular, we can actually pay for this rather than like we don't have any money left and then we have to come back in another couple months and then ask for more money. So yes, the amount would change since changing it to $60 would decrease the amount of students, but it still is a pilot program.
Okay, so then if a student comes in and they don't use 60, they use 30, the extra 30 won't be used for another student. It'll go back to student government?
Might be.
Yeah, it's all good. So if a ticket is only $30 and we have budgeted out $60, that extra money would just go back to the original budget. But once the pilot program is over, all leftover funds would be turned over back to student government.
I'm going to yield some time to Evan because I have a question. If that happens and they use it and then we only have the quantity as 83, but let's say that because they got the 4,000, they got the 5,000 or whatever, and they were able to help more than 83 students, is that going to create a problem for them? So if we change the quantity to reflect the $60 and to reflect that they're only, or that we change it to reflect that they're getting 5,000, but their cost is this, and let's say that a bunch of students come in, they get $30, and so you're able to help, I don't know, twice the amount of students that we did, but they don't spend excess, is it going to be a problem?
Okay, so the money that is not spent will just come back to us. If there is,
I'm talking about the line item, like the quantity specifically. Like if they go over the quantity because people don't spend $60 every time, is that an issue?
No, it's not. I mean, we can change the quantity to 1 and just allocate them that amount of money.
That's what I was trying to see.
That's fine. We can, if this is just, I mean, for like record keeping, I can't. But it doesn't matter. No, they can.
So should we
just change it to 1?
Okay. I was just trying to make sure that I didn't create a problem there.
Just for clarification, I think this is what you wanted us to say. We hope to help a minimum of 83 students. No matter what, we want to be able to help as many students as possible, even if we get all $20 tickets, even if we get all $60 tickets. We want to be able to help as many students as possible with the budget we have.
Okay, that makes sense. I was just trying to see how we needed to word it on the bill,
Yep.
so we didn't run into any obstacles along the way.
If we could just have minimum added to the bill, that would be, if any senators want to suggest
So I'm going to make an motion to change the third ordered clause to say $60, as well as the first line item cost to say $60, and change the first line item quantity to 1 instead of 100.
Can you say that last part again? So you want the cost column to be 60. I think in the event of what you're saying, you'd want the cost column to be 5,000 also, if it's at a quantity of 1.
Oh, yes.
Is that?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
So it's been moved, and I assume there's still a second, that we amend the third ordered clause to reflect $60, and then the line item be a quantity of 1 at $5,000. So moved and seconded. Are there any objections to this amendment? Seeing none, shall be approved, and we're now back on the bill as a whole. So you do have more speaking time if you, all right. Senator Everhart.
So I was also informed by Christine that the poster printing went up by a little bit. So I'm going to make an amendment to that line item to change the quantity to 238. And the, hold on, I'm doing math too. And the total for that to be 147.56. And also, just for clarification, the reason that the poster, like the amount went up is to take into account the renovations in Friley, so. And then the total cost would be $5,187.56.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded to adjust the poster printing for 6 additional posters. Are there any objections to this amendment? Seeing none, it shall be made. So we can give it a moment if you like, and we can make sure the numbers reflected are correct after those 2 amendments.
Yeah, so it was 238 for the line item, and then 147.56 for the line total, and then 56 cents. And then the grand total would sum to be $51.87.56.
All right.
I yield.
Thank you very much. Senator Verriger.
I just had a quick question about like what happens if there's too much overflow in the beginning, because a lot of parking tickets I feel like get issued more in the beginning of the semester rather than at the end of the semester. So if you get your peak in the beginning, like month or two, how are you gonna deal with that? Like if there's so many volunteers for these 2 months but none for then the next few months, are you gonna spread out the recipients of the, or like schedule their times to be at a later month, or like how's that gonna work?
I think we can both say something. Okay. So one of the big things that we were talking about with Director Heron is that a lot of the times they want people on the second or the first Tuesday of the month. And that is because that's when all the food trucks come in. And at that point, you just need manpower. In fact, I think we would welcome having a large sum of people showing up on those specific days because we just need so many people. Yes, we need to be able to spread it out throughout the year, or I guess the semester at this point. But at this time, getting the manpower to get food into the food pantry and then having those other seats be filled by students that just come in occasionally, random parking ticket, I feel like that would be great for the program.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just going to repeat what Bob said. Pretty much space them out throughout the year. Food trucks come in on that Tuesday, and then that's when we're going to try to space people out. So we're not just going to dump like 100 people on shop right at the beginning and then just be like, see you later. We're just going to try to like space it out so they have people when they need them.
Thank you. I yield.
Senator Kameyer.
On the bill, there's like a certain part that's like work a predetermined number of hours for shop, obviously depending on the cost of the ticket. Can you tell us what those hours would look like?
Yeah, so we would like all students to work at least 2 to 3 hours, depending on the parking ticket, just because having good 2 hours of volunteer work would not only be useful to the student, but to shop as well, because they need to have workers that are there for a usable amount of time and not just there and then leave. So we would recommend at least 2 to 3 hours.
Also going with that, you're going to look at that and say, okay, well, $50 over 2 hours is a lot, and that's also kind of the point. The idea of this is to get people involved in the community and do something that matters, rather than have someone just say, okay, I'll just pick up like an extra shift at work to pay for the ticket, or like pick up an extra 1 or 2 hours. Then now they're actually like getting involved in doing something, was the idea.
And another major point adding on to that is that we're not trying to give students more work. They're already super busy as it is. So just giving them 2-3 hours of good volunteer work, not adding too much stress to their schedule. They're still getting their parking tickets paid off, and they're still being able to do the most important thing here, and that is being a student.
Yeah, I like that, and I like your reasoning for it. And then second question, so you talked about the manpower for those specific like food truck days. Are there ways that we can encourage more people to like volunteer like on those specific days?
Are you talking like get people to like not involved in the program volunteer, or through the program volunteer?
Through the program.
Okay, so through the program itself, I mean, parking tickets are never going to stop. So it's kind of like an untapped stream of not an untapped stream of labor, because that sounds bad, but like in a way, yeah, is that there's always going to be people getting parking tickets. So there's always going to be that, unfortunately, there is always going to be food insecurity, people who are just down on their luck and can't pay for it. So this is a good way to get them out of that, and then also kind of like what you said, help out shop along the way.
Like for those specific food truck days, like is there a way that we can incentivize them? Like,
So I think incentivizing is the wrong word for it. I think it's going to be, we have them submit a form that's saying, hey, we want it. We could just give them a date and a time of when they can come to help us. Because, of course, we're going to have to work with students to make sure they can actually get there on time. But we say, hey, if you come here on this date and time, we'll work with you. We're going to make sure you get your parking ticket paid off. In fact, that some of our student government people will be there working with you. That way we can get the money to the parking division quicker than just having somebody from shop saying, hey, they're good.
Thank you. I yield.
Senator Agarwal.
Yeah, so shop is always kind of like needing people. I mean, it was kind of in the thing. They're always needing people, and so how we're going to kind of do that is kind of like how we talked about over here, is staggering that through months. So it's not we're going to try to dump all of them in like the first month or 2 months. We're going to give them some time to actually plan it, put it on their schedule, and then make arrangements if they need to. If that answered it.
Yeah. And even more so, it's like 2 to 7, but we also have 5 days throughout the week. Some people have clubs during those times that they have to go to. For example, SALT, I'm pretty sure that's more towards the evening. People will be more willing to go throughout earlier in the day or a different day of the week to go ahead and volunteer. Yes, there may be more of an influx later in the day, but we're still getting those volunteers where they're needed.
one thing. Shop's not open 5 days a week, it's open 4 days a week.
Thank you.
Senator Everhart.
Okay, so I just need some clarification. So you guys are saying that you're gonna offer a potential time for people to make up the ticket, just so that way, okay, so it's in a, I don't wanna call it jury, like, if you had like a court date, but that's essentially how it would work?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wanted some clarification.
I
on
don't think it's gonna be like a court day. I think it's gonna be like a court period, I guess. There's gonna be
Yes.
multiple days where they can come in and get this done.
Yeah.
We understand that we need to be flexible with people's schedules, so instead of just giving them a specific date and time like it would be in court, we give them like a week to get it done.
Yeah, like an allotted week?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Just needed some clarification there. Thank you.
Senator Samantha Jones.
I think this is a great idea. My quick question is, how are you going to ensure that they show up? Like, what system are you using that they are going to, you check off that they're there?
Yeah, so verification system is very important, and I'm glad you asked that question. It's very simple. If they don't show up to their allotted shift, they say, hey, I'm going to be here today. This is what time I'll be there. They're not getting their parking ticket paid. We are not paying the parking ticket until SHOP has let us know they came in and did their time.
Also, to add on to that, I know personally for the first session, I also have a parking ticket, so I will personally be there.
All right, so the floor is open for any further questions. Is there a second? Moved and seconded to end debate. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing no objections, closing comments, Speaker Momedy. Seeing no closing comments and seeing as this is a finance bill, we'll move into a roll call vote. When I call your name, please say yes, no, or of course you may abstain. Moran. Rolls. Everhart. Samantha Jones. Pelzer. Utica. Palin. Moisango. Nievenhoven. Weaver. Kameyer. Pedasani. Agarwal. Veriger. Gopa. Mamini. Patel. Sloop. And Pursley. 1 moment. All right, so with a vote of 18 to 0 to 1, the motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you. We'll move directly into item 2024-2-002F, launching the Message the Mayor program with Speaker Momini.
I am going to yield my opening speaking privileges to President Hirsch.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Unfortunately, Emily's sick, so she can't make it today, and so I'm here to talk on behalf of the bill. So this is one of the platform points that we ran on this year. So it's completed. You're able to find our messaging the mayor feedback form on our website. This is simply so that we can advertise it better to students so that they know this is a service that we now provide. And so in the bill, you will find expenses for printing, for poster printing, and then flyer distribution as well. I don't know if you've seen around campus, we have our Get Involved posters for student government where you can scan the QR code, and then we've also put out posters as well using the flyer distribution. Again, this is copying that, and we've had great success with students being able to access our website.
All right, and so the floor is open, starting with Senator Gopa.
Yeah, I think this is a great project. I think we implemented it good from student government, but how are we going to hold city council accountable? Because half the city council members never show up to our meetings when we have them.
This is going to be delivered to the city council members when Emily goes to the meetings. And again, we can provide feedback to the city, and how they choose to act on it is up to them, right? It's up to their discretion. They were the elected officials. But we should give our input, right? And this is a better way of connecting Iowa State students with city council members.
And are you going to be filtering out these messages, or?
That's a great question. Yeah, and so if you haven't already been able to check it out, you can go to our website, projects, message the mayor, and in there's a form that you can click. And so we suggest feedback, like an event you'd like to see the city host, suggestions for improving city services, idea for new community programs, and input regarding local issues or policies. Again, on topic, right? But, you can't just be like, oh, tell the mayor I said hi, right? It's supposed to be about issues that are affecting Iowa State students and being able to articulate that to city council when it's relevant.
Okay, who's going to be filtering out these messages?
I believe it's going to be up to the discretion of Emily.
Just Emily?
Yeah.
What if she doesn't like one of the issues? Like she hates e-scooters and someone's like,
I think
don't
Emily
like
has the ability to be objective and recognize, even though she may disagree with one of the concerns, that she's going to be willing to represent all Iowa State students and come into those city council meetings like she's done, since her term began, and I think done a great job as well.
Okay, cool. I yield.
Senator Kameyer.
I guess this is more of a question to Senator Everhart. Do we need to change the poster printing number for this as well? No? Okay. I yield.
Wait, I'm sorry, we don't have to change it for this one? It does go through the same flyer distribution process as the previous bill. And yeah, as a point of information, you could take exactly the same line item from the previous bill. The amounts would be the same. And that would be a motion that would need to be made. But have you yielded? Or? I apologize about that. So you have yielded. Okay, Vice Speaker Pursley. I didn't know if you had yielded or not. I apologize. Yes. So, Vice Speaker Pursley, it's your speaking privilege. Come again?
Oh, that's different. Okay. Well, I had a different question, actually. My question was, how will students receive an answer back? Like, how will they know if the project that they're submitting is being accepted, or like, how is that gonna?
So when you submit the form, we will be able to see your name and your email address.
And then Emily will just contact you?
Emily will contact them and let them know.
All right, cool, thank you.
Welcome.
Senator Pedisani. Can you repeat the first part of that about being identical in cost? I apologize. Yeah. So you're making a motion to more properly reflect the price of 238 posters, which is the new requirement. Is there a second? Moved and seconded to change the quantity and price to accommodate 238 posters. Are there any objections to this amendment? Seeing none, it shall be made. So the floor, unless you wish to use more of your speaking privilege, with that, the floor is open for any further questions or discussion on this bill. Is there a second? Moved and seconded to end, it was a call to question, so it's been moved and seconded to end debate. Are there any objections to doing so at this time? Seeing no objections, closing comments, Speaker Momini. All right, and so with that, the bill now does reflect the final price that you'll be voting on. And so seeing as this is a finance bill, once again, we'll move into a roll call vote. Moran. Abstain? Thank you. Broles. Rolls? Oh. Everhart? And Rolls, that was a yes, correct? Okay. Samantha Jones? Pelzer? Utica? Palin? Moisango? Nievenhoven? Weaver? Kameyer? Pedasani? Agarwal? Veriger? Gopa? Momini? Patel? Sloop? And Pursley? One moment while we tally that. All right, and so with a vote of 14 to 0 to 5, the motion carries. Thank you. We'll move directly into item 2023-2-004F, the second annual Student Government Expo budget with Speaker Momini.
Okay, we seen this last week. I'm going to yield my speaking privileges to Holly. She'll tell you a little bit about what you're looking at.
Hey everybody, the budget is pretty much the same as last week, just another overview. We're getting those tents, one for each committee. We have 12, so we'll also have an executive branch and then legislative and judicial tents. We're getting tables and then pop-up tent weights. So it's pretty simple. We just need things so that we can get students to come to the expo, get excited about student government, and learn what we're doing. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
The floor is open, starting with Vice Speaker Pursley.
Is food going to be a separate bill?
So yes, food will be a separate bill. We're hoping to get a donation from Insomnia Cookies, and then we talked to Martin and Quinn about getting pizza, and that would be from their executive budget.
Okay, thank you. I yield.
Senator Gopa.
Why don't we just buy the tables at this point? We always have a bill for something with tables and we end up renting them. They're like $30 each online.
I don't feel like that's a question I can answer from my perspective.
Are you wishing to address that? Because you could yield to the Vice Speaker if you wish.
Yeah, I yield to the Vice Speaker.
Well, I just don't know where we would necessarily store them.
We have a basement.
Do we have room for tables in our basement?
Yeah, we do have a basement.
We do not have room for tables in our basement.
Okay.
You good? All right, Senator Utica.
I also want to compliment on what he said. Since we think that this should be a recurring event, we should also think long term. So it's better kind of buy a table. It will also reduce the cost of renting tables also. So get a table, then store it. Then at least it can reduce the cost of renting table like every time we do the event.
This time is still yours if you wish.
No, I have no question.
Okay. Senator Agarwal.
I just want to ask, y'all are volunteering to buy tables, or like we're talking about buying tables. One, Alex specified we don't have space for them. Two, who's going to carry them down to the basement, pick them up from the basement, take them to the event, get them at the event, take them back to the basement every time? And it just seems like common sense to just rent them, you know, it's cheaper, saves us the labor.
Can I talk? Is that allowed again? To answer that?
Technically not, and I apologize. Okay. But Senator Verger, if you wish, you can address Holly. But it's your speaking privilege.
This is totally unrelated, so if anybody wants to jump in, but just point of clarification for the second whereas. Enjoying games in good, is it supposed to be good or is it supposed to be food?
I'm guessing food.
Okay.
Good games.
At the end of the second whereas clause, and you could accept that as a friendly if you wish. Thank you. All right, Senator Samantha Jones.
What did you say? Oh, I think we should just keep the focus on the budget and not about buying tables. Personally, I think that's a different bill you could write if you're interested in it, but I think for the efficiency of the group, we should move forward past that.
All right, so with that, the floor is open for any further questions or discussion. Moved and seconded to end debate. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing no objections, closing comments, Speaker Momini? Seeing no closing comments, once again, this is a finance bill, so let's do a third roll call vote here. Once again, yes, no, or abstain. Moran. Rolls. Everhart. Samantha Jones. Pelzer. Utica. Palin. Moisango. Nievenhoven. Weaver. Kameyer. Pedasani. Agarwal. Veriger. Gopa. Mamani. Patel. Sloop. And Pursley. One moment. All right, so with a vote of 18 to 0 to 1, the motion carries. Thank you. With that, we'll move into internal matters, starting with Special Order 2024-2-002SG, seating members to the PR Committee with Speaker Momini.
Okay, I'm going to ask that the senator and the at-large approach the podium to tell us a little bit about themselves. You can just say name, why you're interested, maybe any previous experience. The floor is yours.
I mean, I guess most of you know me. My name's Abhiraj. I go by Raj. I talked to Eric about joining PR, and it seems like an interesting thing to do. I'm very excited to join PR, I'd like to add. I believe that effective communication and engagement are key to building a strong community, and I feel like being in PR would help me, work towards that. I did have ideas for PR committee that I'm bringing with, and I'm open to questions.
Do you wish to make that motion real quick? Yeah, I don't think we had you on the roll. I just want to do that real quick before we call on you. Any objections? Seeing none, he shall be sat. And do you still wish to? Senator Jake Schneider, go for it.
Yeah, I was planning on working with PR this time towards the multicultural town hall, taking idea into the loop as well. I was also thinking about maybe we can introduce Instagram takeovers and, have something like that go around student government so people can get to know us better through our social media. I was also thinking about introducing a behind the scenes for some of our bigger events, like the Big 12 conference that we're hosting or the Student Government Expo, and just have a small video that shows what we do behind the scenes and how we plan events.
All right. Is my understanding of this bill correct, too, that we also have Joshua on the same bill? Yeah. So if you do wish to address Joshua, who's the other candidate, please also feel free to do so. If you want to ask a question, you can, or end your... Okay.
All right. Hey, am I good to talk?
Would someone like to yield time, please? Samantha Jones? Yes.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right, y'all. Most of you probably don't know me. My name's Josh Poe. I'm a fifth-year senior here studying history with minors in classical studies and political science. Eric had approached me about joining his PR team, and honestly, I feel like it could be a really good opportunity, a unique opportunity that I hadn't really thought of originally, but I feel like I could be an asset to it, not to gas myself up or anything. But overall, I sat in on a meeting yesterday for PR, and it seemed like one of the big things that I took away from it was that we want to grow our social media presence, especially on Instagram, and that's something I want to work on with y'all. I have some experience with design and stuff. I was the merchandise chair for my fraternity, so, and I know how to mess around with some graphic stuff. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to being a part of this, and it seems like a really good organization. So. Is there any questions or anything?
Senator Jake Snyder. Vice Speaker Persley. All right. With that, the floor is open for any further questions or discussion. If not, is there a call to question? Moved and seconded to end debate. Are there any objections to doing so? Closing comment, Speaker Momini. All right, and so with that, UC has been called for. Are there any objections to passing this motion by way of unanimous consent? Seeing none, congratulations, the motion carries. Next is item 2024-2-003SG, seating senators to the Finance Committee with Speaker Momini.
This is the same type of bill, so I'm going to invite those senators up to speak a little bit about themselves.
Hello, everyone. For a brief introduction, I'm Hamath. I'm the Senator of Residence Halls. I have a big interest in finance because I've interned at a company during high school where we did asset management and also leverage takeovers. And I also really love money. And I learned that while also helping my dad with starting his company up in financial services. So I really have a knack for all of this stuff of trying to fund organizations and also helping people make a dollar stretch, basically. Any questions?
Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Weaver. I'm the GPSS Senator in the graduate program. This is my last year, 5th year. Formerly, I was the president of my fraternity, but also the treasurer, so I understand kind of how to manage money well and make a dollar go far, just like my former senator said before me. Additionally, I'm the treasurer of 2 clubs right now and the president of a sports club, so I can also see from that side how the sports clubs get their funding, and I'm looking forward to helping former sports clubs as well as other clubs get funding.
Hey y'all, I'm Samantha Jones. I'm the Senator for College of Human Sciences. Kind of background, elementary education. I'm super passionate about helping student organizations out, allocating money. I think it's super important that we get to help out all the organizations that fall under, we're able to help out, and yeah.
All right, so with that, the floor is open for any questions. Moved and seconded to end debate at this time. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing no objections, closing comment, Speaker Momini. UC has been called for. Are there any objections to passing these nominees by way of unanimous consent? Seeing none, congratulations, the motion carries. On to our second set, item 2024-2-004SG, also seating senators to the Finance Committee with Speaker Momini.
I am going to do the same thing and invite these senators up to speak about themselves.
Good evening. I'm Tadiom Sango, Finance and Economics major. I'm really interested in the Finance Committee. I was in the Finance Committee for the past semester, and we really did some great work with President Harsh and Director Martinez. So I just wish to continue the good work that we did, probably do it better this time.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jonathan Nievenhoven. I am an accounting and business analytics major. I'm interested in the finance committee. I am currently the treasurer of my fraternity, and I'm the president of 2 other clubs on campus. So I have a little bit of experience with student organizations, and I think being on the finance committee would be a really good way to kind of learn how the money within student government works and just kind of how student organizations can get their funding and all the ins and outs of that.
Hi everyone, my name is Noah Kameyer. I am a political science major. I didn't realize we were supposed to color code for this bill, so I have the student government polo, but I forgot my black slacks and black shoes. Anyway, I honestly can't wait to be a part of Finance Committee because I think it's one of the most important committees to be on. And I've worked with budgets in the past, both as a representative for IRHA and last year as the president for my hall council. And yeah, I think I'd be great for this job. Feel free to ask me any questions. Please ask me questions because the last people definitely want to be asked some questions.
And with that, the floor is in fact open for questions. I assume this is an objection? Okay, so there has been a motion to end debate at this time that has been seconded. Okay.
Yeah, it kind of sucks that we're not asking questions. They're in charge of $3 million. Remember that. Yeah, like, actually, there's no joking matter, honestly. How do you feel that we...
And I'm sorry, who made the motion originally to call the question? Yeah? Okay, withdrawn. And so, Senator Gopa, the floor is yours if you wish to ask a question or two.
Yeah, we shouldn't set that precedent with the most important, in my opinion, the most important committee in student government, where we don't ask questions to the people who are trying to join this committee. Like, yeah, of course we know these people. Tariba was in this committee last year. John Nievenhoven is FBLA, and I don't know much about Kameyer, but I'll ask you questions. But yeah, keep on asking questions. This is not good. We have to ask them questions. I'm not gonna ask. Okay, what? I'm sorry. My bad. I ramble. I hate wasting time too. Anyway, let's say you're in a position where, how do you hold yourself financially accountable? Like, sometimes people come in with like $50,000 for trash cans. How do you debate that decision? Because this is an actual thing. People actually came in with $50,000 for trash cans, and that bill passed.
I guess I'll start. I always want to keep in mind, first of all, the amount of money in fees that people are paying, and also whether we are spending that money appropriately. I think that I don't know if this counts as a physical item thing that, yes? No? Okay. Anyway, but for a situation like that, I would just want to analyze it and make sure that we are actually like using our funds for the right reasons. And also knowing that not every organization is going to get everything that they want, if that makes sense.
Can you go again with the question?
How are you gonna hold yourself accountable to your decisions?
Oh, first of all, we want to look at the big trick and look at the mistakes that we made in the past and see where we can rectify those. And then we are trying to just maintain proper budgets. For example, depending on the amounts of money that we have, we compare with the past activities. If we are raising the student fees, we see if we can increase funds to organization and such things such as that by comparison of the past records and see how we can improve it.
I would like to say that I'm a very organized person, and so when you're dealing with a lot of money, and especially from my experience being a treasurer and managing money for an organization, it's really important to first be organized and know where the money's going, and then making the right decision onto what we're spending it on. It's a lot of money and it impacts all the students and it's coming out of their pockets. So just kind of going through all the decisions and all of the different factors that go into that decision is really important. So holding ourselves accountable with just looking at all the information and seeing where the money would actually be going is probably the biggest thing that we'll do, because again, it comes out of our students' pockets and we don't want to spend it on things that they don't want.
All right, Speaker Momini.
So, while I am confident in the finance director's ability to choose members for the committee, I do have a, I think, hopefully short and sweet question for you. Do you think that you're going to be able to remove yourself from your biases when making decisions? Like if you're part of another club or you participate in another one and they come and they ask for funding that maybe is not something that you think should be done, are you able to remove yourself from that bias and tell them the truth, even if you're affiliated? Also, motion to add Senator Kwiatkowski, sorry if I said that wrong, to the roll.
Is there a second? Move to add Kwiatkowski to the roll. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing none, he shall be added. Thank you.
To answer your question, I don't think any of the clubs I'm in actually can receive funding from student government, so I will not have bias towards that. And again, it just goes back to looking at the full picture. What are they asking funding for? Do they meet all of the certain, like check all the boxes for all of the ways to get funding, that sort of thing. Just making sure that we get all of the information. And then being on the committee, I'm sure that we will all hold ourselves accountable. We will all keep each other in check, checks and balances, all that sort of thing, so we know where the money's going.
I'll just say Jonathan had a really good answer, and I'm glad that he went first. But unlike Jonathan, I do have organizations that I'm a part of that can receive student government funding, so I do appreciate the question. But as previously a president of an organization and currently the vice president of 2 organizations, it's very important to me to just be as objective as possible. And I mean, we'll all have like small bits of personal bias that come in, that's just natural, but just trying to be objective is very important to me. Thank you.
I think personally I try to be as objective as possible. And the nice thing about the board is that it's comprised of people from different clubs and different activities, different cultures. So as a human being, maybe, which I don't see it coming, I might be biased at some point. That's the nice thing, that I have a team which will help me out. But I will uphold to the Constitution and try to be as objective as possible.
The floor is open. Is there a second? Moved and seconded to end debate. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing no objections, closing comment, Speaker Momini. UC has been called for. Are there any objections to passing these nominees by way of unanimous consent? Seeing none, congratulations, the motion carries. Next, we'll move into general orders, starting with 2024-2-001Y, changing bylaws regarding election commission with Speaker Momini.
Okay, I'm going to try and give a little debrief before I let Election Commission kind of explain what's going on. So if you open up that linked document, you're going to see 5 pages that look overwhelming, but let's all just take a deep breath, it's okay. You're also going to see a bunch of comments from me and some other people. So at our rules meeting, we did go through, we talked with Election Commission. In those comments, other than one of mine, in those comments are the changes that we made in rules committees. Once we made those changes, we added them to the comment section so you guys could see what we're suggesting, and then it passed favorably. Since then, there have been 2 other suggested amendments from Election Commission afterwards. To kind of summarize, there are changes to 8.2.2 that rules suggested, there are changes to 8.6.1.4 that rules suggested, and then there's a couple other ones from Chapter 8. As for Chapter 9, because rules was short on time and we were missing some details and wanted to give Election Commission some time to find those details, we decided in rules to just remove the stuff about Chapter 9, but then Election Commission came and asked us to add back in a part. So that is in a response that I did to rules. With that, I'm going to let Election Commission kind of buff up on that.
We're going to introduce ourselves real quick, so because many of you don't know who we are. I'm Tatum Anthony. I'm serving as Vice Commissioner.
I'm Layla Amatovic. I'm serving as a secretary.
And I'm Santi Fahard, and I'm serving as treasurer. Okay, so I'm just going to walk you through some of the quick things that we're making, just in case you haven't have time to read it. So basically, a lot of the changes that we're proposing, it's nothing ginormous. It's something to make the election process go a little bit smoother and update the procedures to what is actually done, since a lot of the bylaws in regards to Election Commission were a little bit outdated, per se. So a lot of the changes that we made are, again, make the election process smoother. So, for example, there's a lot of sections in the early part of Chapter 8 focusing on changing Computation Center and removing that entirely. Not an organization we deal with anymore since everything's done through Qualtrics. And then we're also changing some stuff about clarifying that members of the Election Commission serve basically for life, but it's just until their removal. So we do have some internal positions within Election Commission, such as secretary and some of our subcommittee chairs. So we want to clarify that those people serve for the entirety, just bring more clarity into that. In addition, we're also trying to fix some issues that happened at last year's election, that there were some rules that were made that were very short effect for the campaigns. So we're trying to make sure that, A, it's officially in the code, what's the procedure when we have to add a penalty that's not codified, and also making sure that the campaigns are giving notice of those rule changes, and that's reflected in the amendment suggested by Rules Committee. And then we're also still in discussion with Rules Committee regarding petitions, but we will be taking care of that at a later date. In addition, there's also, again, other parts updating the code to make sure that it reflects the fact that we use Qualtrics now. A lot of how these bylaws are set up are made when we use physical paper ballots. So, for example, 8.6.1.8.5 says that we are required to tell candidates the date of when we're going to decide ballot positioning. That doesn't need to happen anymore since that's decided on Qualtrics on a random. So if a student logs onto Qualtrics to vote, they will see a different person at the top than their friend that's right next to them, just to make sure if there's people just voting for the first option, it's completely randomized. So we're updating that. Another update is just since last year we had physical locations, just make sure that we're required to disclose that to students. And then just, again, updating announcements for election results so that it doesn't have to be a physical event, so it can be virtual, so we're not wasting government funding and our time setting up a physical event no one will attend. And then with 8.6.2.12, we're just changing a word that was a misspelling. And again, yeah, it's nothing super major. And then there's the only major thing is 8.6.3.4, which deals with the duties of the vice commissioner. That section is redundant since that is covered by both me as a treasurer and by our PR chair. So it's just a section that's redundant that adds extra duties to the vice commissioner that are already apportioned to others. And then 8.6.3.5.2, so this basically clarifies that if the election commission doesn't get the election code approved by the end of the fall semester, there will be a replacement election commissioner. So previously that said that it was appointed by the president. The replacement commissioner was appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate. We want to change that to be the Supreme Court justice. Again, reason for that being is Supreme Court justice already appoints the full-time commissioner. So we just want to make sure that the same person that appoints the permanent position appoints an interim position as well. And for that, we're also removing some sections below that regarding non-voting members. Again, we're seeking to make sure that all members of the Election Commission, I believe except the commissioner, are voting members. It's really, there was no point to the non-voting members, and there's never been a point that the Election Commission has been so large as to require non-voting members. And let's see. And in addition, we're also fixing some internal procedures that chairs are not allowed to vote or participate in debates, excluding the election commissioner. Reason for, and this is 8.6.8. And reason for this is election commission is quite small, so most of our members are chairs in some position of the sort. So that would mean that, I think we did the math at our last meeting, that only 2 people would be able to participate and vote in debates. So we want to update that and make sure that we can get as much of the commission being able to participate. And then we also have 8.7, which is the verification panel. This is when we had physical ballots and we had to get physical signatures verified and ID numbers verified. This is all through Qualtrics, so that's been solved. And then here's a big one. This is the last big part, is 8.1.1. So this is dealing with automatic appeals to the Supreme Court. So if you're not familiar, the previously, as it states, if your penalty is nullification of the election, barring from future elections, or if there is a fine that is greater to $200, there's an automatic appeal to the Supreme Court. So we are thinking of upping some of those penalties, which will be bring to Senate at a later date. So we want to make sure that the penalty for automatic appeal is $500, so it's a little bit of a higher bar. Or if there's 3 or more violations, there will be an automatic appeal, and we're keeping the same. If there's a nullification, barring for future elections, those will still get an automatic appeal. Just to clarify, this doesn't mean you don't have a right to appeal. It's beyond that. It's just we're raising the bar for an automatic appeal. So if it's below that, you can still appeal, and you can still have that discussion with the Supreme Court. And then the section of Chapter 9 that we're wanting to add back in is 9.2.5.1 and 9.2.5.2. So just some changes. That is just changing the word computation center to advisor. Again, we don't deal with the computation center, so we're basically saying that Christine is the one who manages the Qualtrics form, so she's the one providing us with the vote tabulation. So those are the changes that, a quick overview of what they are. You can view them more in detail as you all have the form. So we're now open for questions if you have any.
The floor is open, starting with Speaker Momini.
Y'all, I'm so sorry this is so tedious and maybe a little not in everybody's expertise, but to try and make this easier, I'm going to go through and I'm going to go do the amendments that Rules has suggested one by one. So that way I'm not going to say that we're going to amend everything just in case Senate doesn't agree with the amendments that were made. After that, if you guys have looked at it and you see something else that you want to take off or do, then you can do so in a motion. But for right now, I'm going to go over what Senate did. So first, I am going to motion to amend 8.2.2 to say the commission shall be comprised of 9 voting members, including, or of 8 non, I'm sorry, I should have wrote this out. Okay, the commission shall be comprised of 8 voting members and 1 non-voting member being the election commissioner. So 9 members in total. So that amendment changes it to be worded specifically to voting and non-voting members, so it doesn't look like the election commissioner is a voting member.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any objections to this amendment? Seeing none, it shall be made.
Yes, if you would like to do that, that would be great. Okay, moving on, we're going to go down to 8.6.1.4. So for changes that were made in rules, we made the change to have it read, as you can see in the comment, that it would add on the creation of any penalty not previously codified that represents a change in the election law that occurs after the beginning of the election shall give executive candidates shall be given a minimum of 20 of notice before a rule change comes into effect. These changes shall only be in effect after the issued notice of rule, and it would remove the section that says bylaws or the constitutions of the student government or election commission that comes after in regard of found violations. However, election commission has issued a separate amendment that would change it to just say have the authority to impose penalties codified or not and enforced by a 2/3 vote of the election commission in regard to found violations of the government election law. Would that also include that last
Yes,
part?
it would include the 24-hour notice. That's right.
So in all, I'm going to read this and it's going to be long and I apologize. It would say have the authority to impose penalties codified or not and enforced by a 2/3 vote of election commission in regard to found violations of the government election law. The creation of any penalty not previously codified that represents a change in election law that occurs after the beginning of the election shall give executive candidates a minimum of 24-hour notice before a rule change comes into effect. These changes shall only be in effect after the issued notice of rule change. I motion to make that very long amendment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the amendment shall be made.
Okay. Moving on, we have decided to remove the section that says 8.6.1.8.4 because it has to do with the part of Chapter 9 that removes petition. So I motion to remove that highlighted comment section.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Are there any objections to that amendment? Seeing none, it shall be made.
Okay. Our next amendment, I think that was our last one for Chapter 8. Our next amendment is going to jump us all the way down to the Chapter 9 portion. And then for Chapter 9, the only thing that we are going to keep is 9.2.5.1 and 9.2.5.2. It will be the same exact wording other than anywhere that says computation center will say advisor. And I motion to make that amendment.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing no objections, that amendment shall be made.
And then I motion to remove everything that comes after after the changes to 9.2.5.2, remove them from the bill.
I'm sorry, can you give me that number again?
Not everything that comes after the changes to 9.2.5.2 will be removed.
Are you speaking of 9.2.5?
Yeah, 9.2.5.2. It's not in there yet. That's the amendment that we just made.
Oh,
so
thank
give
you.
it a second to show up. I'm sorry. So I'm highlighting now everything that would be removed, which is basically the rest of the document.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Are there any objections? You can share the nature of your objection.
What are the reasons for removing?
Yeah, sorry, let me explain a little. So these are the things that I was talking about when I first introduced the bill. The highlighted sections are things that Rules Committee did not get to and that we decided with Election Commission we should remove from the bill until we have further clarification and information. It removes the petitioning of, the petitioning process, and we wanted some questions answered, some other safeguards, just some more stuff to add into our bylaws before we remove it from our bylaws. So that's what we're doing. We'll see another bill later on, probably soon within the next couple of weeks, reintroducing the stuff with some more information for you guys. But for right now, we need to remove it. We don't want to change the bylaws without knowing exactly what we're changing and how we're going to change it. So that's why we're deleting that. Yes, there will be a separate bylaw bill that reintroduces this with some more content and information for everybody.
All right. So it's been moved and seconded to make this motion. Are there any, or make this amendment, excuse me. Are there any objections to doing so? None, it shall be made.
Okay, thank you guys for your patience. And yeah. So with that, if you guys looked over the document and see any other amendments that you would like to make, this is your time. I yield.
Senator Weaver. All right, so there's been a motion to table this bill for 2 weeks, and it's been seconded. Are there any objections? All right, so there's moved and seconded to table this bill for 2 weeks. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing none, it shall be tabled. All right, so if that, we'll move into the new business items for tonight, starting with item 2024-2-005F, approving the fiscal year 2025 asset priorities with Speaker Momini.
Okay, so this was supposed to go up last week, and it took me a while to find the wording and how they worded it last year, so it's here now. With that, it is pretty important that we get these priorities sent out. If you're newer, these priorities kind of delineate. We have already approved a set budget. This tells the people who spend that money what we want prioritized. I would love to invite Mindy up, but first I'm going to motion to waive first read so the people who do this can get these priorities and the money can be spent how it needs to be spent.
Second.
Moved and seconded to waive first read. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing none, it shall be waived. We're now back on this bill as a whole on second read.
Okay, I'm going to yield my rest of my opening speaking privilege to Mindy, and she'll tell you a little bit about what's going on.
Hi, hello. This is same priorities as last year. They haven't been changed, so if you've seen them before, you'll already know what's on them. For clarification, these priorities go out to the organizations we allocate funds to so that they know our priorities. They know what sort of programs they can offer that fall under these priorities. For example, our top one is basic needs. Toppest of them all is rent and utilities, or assistance in rent and utilities. So essentially an organization will come to us and they'll be like, hey, we offer this amount for rent. Would you be able to, allocate some funds to aid with that? And so essentially that's what these priorities are for. We really needed these priorities months ago because these organizations, they needed to see these. However, because Senate was not in session, we could not pass them in order to, tell them what these priorities were. So politely, we do need a hustle on this one. I know the notion tonight has been, hey, let's take a breather, let's ask questions, but unfortunately, this does need to get passed today, if at all possible. Please ask any questions as possible, but it does need to get done.
Question, starting with Speaker Momini.
And just to reiterate, these are the same priorities. These were approved before.
Correct. They haven't changed at all from last year or probably even the year before. Exact same. So if you've seen them before, they're the exact same.
That's it. I yield.
Senator Everhart.
I have a question for Speaker Momney. Does the codification on this bill need to be changed, seeing that there's no line items? Because right now it's classified as a funding bill.
This is how they did it last year. That's kind of where I had some confusion. But so it is a finance bill, but the money was already done in our big picture bill. So that's why it's still classified as a finance bill, because it's just telling, like, here's the money that we already gave you. This is what you should do with it.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
All right, and so with that, the floor is open for any further questions. Is there a second? Moved and seconded to end debate. Are there any objections to doing so? Seeing none, closing comments, Speaker Momini. Seeing no closing comments, and seeing as this is technically a finance bill, We'll move into a roll call vote, starting with Moran. Rolls. Everhart. Samantha Jones. Pelzer. Kwiatkowski. Utica. Palin. Moisango. Nievenhoven. Weaver. Kameyer. Pedasani. Agarwal. Who's not here? Verriger. Gopa. Jake Snyder. Yes. Mamani. Patel. Sloop. And Pursley. All right, and so with a vote of 18 to 0 to 0 to 1, the motion carries. I do apologize, that was 19 to 0 to 0 to 1. Correct number of people on the roll, I just misspoke. And so with that, we'll move into our last item of business for this evening, item 2024-2-006F, approving the Student Government Annual Conference Budget with Speaker Momini.
All right, so this is on first read. I'm going to go ahead and let Monet kind of explain what's going on here, what you're looking at, and then take this next week to think and ask questions.
Okay, hi guys. So this bill looks very scary, and I'm aware of that. It's a lot of money that we are asking for. However, this is something that, first of all, we are the ones destined by rotation to host. So we want to put on a good show. We want to show them what our student government can do. Please ask questions. Like I said, I know there's a lot on here. So please feel free to ask questions. Yeah.
And with that, the floor is open for questions of intent. All right, so unless there are any last-minute questions of intent, we'll see this bill again next week. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. We'll vote on this bill next week. And so with that, we've concluded our business for this evening, and the floor is open for general closing announcements. I was going to say, I don't think this has ever happened. No closing announcements. Everhart.
Tomorrow, I'll have to get the time for you guys, but I can post in the teams. Tomorrow is the Cal's new student and transfer barbecue. It's mainly aimed towards College of Ag students, but any of you are welcome to attend and learn more about the College of Ag if you would like. Like I said, I can put it in the teams for with that flyer of what time it starts and everything, but yeah.
Rolls.
I'll do it because Director Heron didn't want to do it, but if anybody wants to join our assets team, it'd be greatly appreciated. I think we need 1 or 2 more people. Two. It's really fun experience. You get to work with a lot of and listen to a lot of nonprofit organizations to help the entire county, city of Ames, student government, well, ISU, just to solve a lot of issues that we see all across our society. I think it's a good experience, and if anybody wants to join, reach out to our nonprofit director. Thank you.
Are there any further closing announcements? Senator Kameyer.
I'm just going to quickly go state, beat Iowa.
Fair enough. Any further closing announcements? All right, seeing none, just 1 or 2 quick closing announcements of my own. So like we talked about, and like you've been emailed, the retreat, that date is final. We'll have an email for you in the next couple days about kind of the location, what the schedule looks like, and things like that. You're not required to stay overnight. We encourage it. 2 points on that. We're looking for 1 more person to drive. Pretty easy driver's training if you want to do that. It'd be incredibly helpful if we could get 1 more person who has their own vehicle they're willing to drive. But additionally, we do have to get this approved by through risk management. And so I sent out something a day or two ago that you just have to sign on and say, yes, I'm going to this and a few basic things about safety. If you can check your email, and if you haven't approved that, please approve it. We need everybody to fill that out. Or rather, check yes or no on that. Please check yes before we can go to that retreat. Secondly, I encourage you to sign up for Club Fest and the Expo, just to make sure we have enough people for that. Both are going to be great events. Make sure that you get your outreach credits and get them early. And then lastly, we talked about a little bit earlier, the Board of Regents event is coming up, and Colby would really appreciate a reply in his email to make sure we know you're going. Kind of having a strong showing with the Regents, having people there who are interested and engaged. It's going to be really important, and we just want to get a sense of kind of what our numbers look like. So if you can do that either tonight or tomorrow at the very latest, that would be fantastic. I think that's all I have, and so I'm going to yield to the Vice Speaker.
Okay, so I have a few things about office hours. If you have not sent me what you want to do for your weekly office hours yet, please come up to me after this meeting and tell me, or send me an email. Secondly, you need to be doing your office hours every week. It's just 1 hour. If you gather up more than 4 missed times, you can have 2 nonfeasances and be kicked off student government. But if you get one, you'll get 1 nonfeasance for missing 2 office hours. And then third thing, please write your name and time still in the book, even though you have a weekly office hour. It lets me know that you were there, and the book is on my desk. But thank you so much.
All right, y'all. I think this was a good meeting. It was short enough, and I think we asked some pretty good questions, had some good debate. With that, please remember to look over our bills that were on first read or tabled, and ask the appropriate people the appropriate questions. Please do remember to be signing up to your committees. Rules Committee does have openings. Please come talk to me if you'd like to join. I promise it's so much fun. With that, our working meeting was great. For the people that showed up. If you were not at the working meeting and you did not send me why, I'm going to need you to do that, because I will be reaching out to you. Anyways, I'll also be sending out an email probably by Friday night with the PowerPoint that I presented. Our working meeting was over bill writing, so if you're on a committee and you want to see some more people, you can help out your committee chairs by doing that for them, because that'd be so kind. And any other bill that you feel compelled to write. And then you don't have to be so scared, because it's kind of scary. But with that, motion to adjourn.
Go Cyclones, we're adjourned.